with Aaron Shriver. Aaron's a huge fan of country music star Eric Church and is a member of his fan base, the Church Choir. Aaron has attended and continues to attend as many shows as possible. He meets some incredible people. Each week, he'll introduce you to a fellow choir member, and together, they will share their awesome stories and life adventures. It's time to meet one of them right now. Ladies and gentlemen, here's your host and choir director for the Gainin on Memphis podcast, Aaron Shriver.
All right. Whew. Good one tonight. I just feel it. What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. So I'm all messed up with the whole time change. So let me check and make sure everything's up and running. If you guys are in the chat, just tell me it's up and going before we get started tonight. I know we've had some fun technical issues in the past. Oh, it looks like we are live, but maybe a little delayed. Yeah, I got no chat tonight, so we're just gonna roll with it. Let's hope the pictures work. Every week it's something different with this show. All right, guys, we are live with a really good show tonight. I got one of my favorites, Miss Laurie. Cannot wait to dig into this show. We are not gonna have a 5-minute guest tonight because I figure why? Because Laurie was there this weekend. So we're gonna actually start with her first. All right. See, Johnson, I'm glad you said that. I can see it on my phone. I can see the chat going, but on my screen. So if you guys are asking questions, I might not be able to put them up on the screen. We'll see what happens. But let's go ahead and bring her on. Just dig right into it. You guys having a good day? Let's see. Where's she at? I see her smiling. Are you ready? There you are.
Hey, y'all.
All right. Welcome, Miss Laurie here. Let's see. Where's some good pictures to throw up here? So what took you out to Hartford this weekend?
Friends that you meet going to see Eric Church. It was one of the few that I could actually make the go for the weekend. The weekend worked out. So Kristen invited Tammy and I out there and treated us like queens and let us stay at her house. And her husband drove us to the venue, drove us back. So it was cool. You meet some really cool people going to church.
Oh, yeah. It's always a good time. Did you meet anybody new this weekend?
I don't know that I met anybody new. But I saw what's that?
I said same old folks again, huh?
Same old. Well, I did get to actually talk to and spend a little time with Chris. So that's kind of new because I hadn't really done that before. And of course, he's just a big old teddy bear. just don't tell anybody.
What did he do to your phone? I heard he did to your phone though.
Oh, I didn't know how to use it to take pictures apparently, and he showed me. He's like,
yeah, he's good for that. I mean, he could definitely lend a hand.
He didn't say a word. He didn't say a word. He just reached over my shoulder and hit a couple of buttons, and I'm like, what? And then he's like, okay, now you can take pictures.
So what was the highlight, would you say, between the two shows this weekend?
The highlight, well, of course, I got to talk to Eric because I got a fan club meet and greet. So that's always a highlight. But being in the pit was like being home, was like coming home from the old days and just being right there up front and Eric kind of nodding at you and talking about something on stage that like only Kristen and I knew because we had talked about it at the meet and greet, and the camaraderie of everybody around you and everybody having the same joy of being there and all that good stuff. Seeing old friends. I saw Patty, got to talk to Patty. I hadn't seen her in like 11 years. I got to talk to Stacy. I hadn't seen her since Red Rocks.
Carrie, I tried. I had it queued up. Carrie Lynn Hyde said she should be here and I introduce you, but Like every week, I swear.
That makes me happy. That Clutch song just makes me happy. I've been saying for the last couple of years that when this, because I unfortunately continue to get older, and I've been saying when it gets to the point where getting to the shows, going to the shows, being at the shows, when that is not the biggest excitement for me, then I'm done. Well, the only thing that this weekend proved is that I'm not done, and I'm not done for a long time.
Yep, I agree.
So
I'm
it's
done for the
just
year, but
everybody knows what I mean when I talk, the excitement, the for me, it's also seeing everybody standing on their feet and thinking back about this guy that stood in front of the mic that didn't move, that we kind of teased him about sometimes, and he would just sort of blow us off. And now to see what he does and how he commands the whole place, and
remember
he
you used to be
brings
such a shock
everybody
when
in.
Eric would do one song without a guitar. Like we were just like,
Yeah,
whenever we got to see him do, I think the first song I ever saw him do without a guitar might
yeah,
have been Carolina, might have been
yes.
Carolina, but it's like
First time,
it was
yeah,
so
the
weird.
first time I saw him, it was Carolina, and it was at the Grizzly Rose, and
Mhm.
his guitar, they couldn't get it going, and it
Mhm.
was an amazing performance of Carolina. But
Yep.
he didn't like me telling him he needed to get away. He needed to put the guitar down. I don't remember what he told me, but he told me something, and he didn't like it.
He always feels lost. He says he always feels lost without his guitar. There you go.
Yeah, that's what he always used to say.
Mhm.
Hey, Taylor.
I'm jealous of her picture of her being in Salem. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that did look cool.
Let's see. So you got some goodies this weekend, huh?
Well, I never listen when they say you can't bring anything and you can't. It's just been a thing. Eric just sort of puts his hand out when I'm around for something. I
Mhm.
normally don't bring this many things for him to sign, but I wanted some extra things to maybe donate when we have some, you know, um, Sunny Foundation stuff or
Yeah.
whatever. So that's why I brought a few things. But yeah, I got that cool drumstick.
It's pretty cool
Craig
though, huh?
Craig actually said my name and said, Laurie, here, this is for Laurie. And I'm like grinning like a fool. And then I look up and the whole band's standing there laughing. And so I'm waving and they waving back. And again, it was kind of like old times.
Yeah. That would have been really cool. Oh, Robert. Yeah, Robert, you got to hook up with Laurie next time. He said he's bummed he didn't get to meet you.
I know. He was the one that we were supposed to meet up with. And I didn't really have a contact for him to message him or anything. But next time.
Nah, he bounces around. He's like me. He's everywhere. Hey, Tiff.
Good.
Look at that. There's Tiff hanging around. I told you you're going to have a good crowd tonight. So, all right, let's move on from Hartford and dig right in just to the fun part of the show. Getting
All
to know
right.
you, huh?
Yeah.
Look at this picture I dug up.
Holy
Now,
cow.
that's an old one.
Yes. That was probably the first varsity show.
Okay.
And it was in the back in this little room. I don't even remember. Oh, I know how I got the meet and greets. I got the meet and greets from the local radio station. Local radio station brought him in. And I went and talked to one of the DJs. She was doing a remote. And I'm like saying, I just want to say thank you for y'all bringing Eric Church. We've been trying to get him here. And she was like shocked. She was like, I didn't know anybody even knew who he was. And, that kind of thing. So we, so we kept in touch, and I started going to the radio stations, and I'd bring them goodies, and they'd put me on air, and I'd talk about them, and we'd, do what we could to promote them. And, it just became a thing for several years till those particular DJs weren't at the station anymore. And this is a local radio station, not one of the bigger, iHeart and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, this is the
And
logo
so,
of Baton Rouge.
yeah, down in Baton Rouge is Guarantee Media. And so she messing. I didn't ask her for anything. She just messaged me. She said, "Hey, I got you 2 meet and greets." So I brought my daughter with me, And that night we had cooked for them. You know, in the South, in South Louisiana, friends come to visit, you feed them. Okay, that's just what we do. So we cooked, I don't know, 4 or 5 different dishes, etouffee. I bought jambalaya because we didn't have time to do that. I don't know if we cooked gumbo that night. Pralines, cookies, just all sorts of stuff, and brought it to them. Of course, that was during the time when they were like poor and eating peanut butter
This
and
was
jelly. And
that was
and
2000, right?
that was 2000, the end of 2007, yes.
Okay.
And then the next picture you have up after that show, I think it's the same. Y'all got to remember, my memory's not great and I'm not good with details. So I'm sure Carla can correct me on a lot of things. But the next one was actually in Dallas, if I remember correctly. And we did a 4-night, South Louisiana, almost Central Louisiana, two days in Texas, circled back, and then drove back home.
Mm-hmm.
So we put some miles. We put some miles going to church.
Well, we used to have back in the day the ECAs. I mean, I know you remember that, and they
Mhm.
used to have the mileage on there. And I'd have to go back and look at some because some of them were just some crazy miles that we flew,
Yeah.
drove, everything.
I actually won one of those. That year I had seen Eric and the band on both coasts. I had gone to Washington State and North Carolina.
Cool. Look at that one.
There you go, the LSU shirt. We gave everybody in the band an LSU shirt. Eric was the only one because this venue was outside the gates of LSU, so the majority of the people that were there were LSU students, and
So
so we gave them all.
was Varsity your first show with Eric?
No, the first time I saw Eric was March of 2007. He opened for Dirk Bentley in Baton Rouge, and that was
Okay.
the first time I met Carla.
All right. She's over at
Okay, let me
Dirk.
tell you.
She's cheating on us
Let
with
me tell
Dirk.
you. Yeah, he had opened, and my daughter wanted to go see Dirks, and that was the reason I went. I'd never even heard of Eric. Carla had did a little research, and we kind of, looked into it and whatever. But it took me a little while. It wasn't until the end of that year that I kind of was in transition in life, so it took me a little while to get into it. But I'm gonna tell you this: there's 3 people that are responsible for me being in this whole thing. The first person is my ex-husband because he thought the grass was greener.
No.
Had that not happened, I would not know any of y'all. The second person is Trace Atkins
Uh
because I saw some videos and I fell in lust with Trace Atkins.
huh.
So I went on CMT chat and that's where I met Carla. And
Mm-hmm.
Carla was very, very instrumental in pushing me with this and helping me to kind of come out of my shell and just move into things that I was uncomfortable with. So yeah, so that's pretty much how that happened. And then, like they say, the rest is history.
What song was it that got you hooked? Like, what song did you hear and you're like, this guy's really good?
I don't know. I don't remember there being one song. My story is a little different in that the music was great. I liked the music, but like I said, I was sort of transitioning in life and kind of holding back on things. But then I started going to shows, and so really it was the live performances that got me, and getting to talk to Eric and the guys and them being real and answering questions and giving us a little tidbit here and there about the music and
They always drop
that kind of
teasers all
stuff.
the time. They can never tell us like full blown what was going on, but they announce a
Yeah,
few teasers or they do something.
exactly. He would never tell us anything for real, or sometimes you could see that little twinkle in his eye and you knew he probably was making it up and it was going to be something totally different. But we used to get some good information. He used to share his love of music and writing And, we'd get to talk to him about future shows and venues and just all that kind of stuff.
We'd have a lot more input on different things for a while, I would say.
Yeah, he asked us questions, whether he listened to us, whether he took our answers or advice was, you never really knew for sure. I know he mentioned to me at one point, and Carla, that she and his wife Catherine had said he should put "Love Your Love the Most" out on radio. So he remembered that and talking to her about that. So I think that had something there.
So
made him think about
you were
it.
playing Carla for "Love Your Love the Most" on radio.
Say what? Say it again.
Was the statement you're
Yeah,
playing Carla for "Love Your Love the Most" being on radio?
It made him think about it for sure. Whether that was the deciding factor or not, he didn't actually say, but he did say, you and Catherine are the ones that told me to, I need to go with "Love Your Love the Most." So he did listen and he did talk about it. And, of course, you get to talking to him and I'm a fool. I say things. He don't have a clue what I'm talking about. He just laughs at me, and, that's how it ends up.
Yeah. I think
we actually made
Smoke a Little Smoke too. When he released Smoke a Little Smoke, I think that was kind of like the fans telling him, like, no, dude, you gotta go with this song. This is what radio needs. This is what you need to be doing right now. And I think the way we kicked ass for that song during the live shows really pushed him to put it out as a single. And it did really well.
We had seen him in Lafayette. He had talked to us for a really long time that night. That's a very long story. That'll have to be for another show. But we asked him, okay, what should be your next release? It was Carl and I and a few other people, and he was thinking about Those I Love. This was around October-ish. And we were like, well, it's like, so Carla gave her opinion. He asked me, and I said, it's time for a kick-ass, in-your-face Eric Church song on the radio. It needs to be Smoke. Well, he told me that Smoke was going to be done by a rap artist, so he would never be able to record it. Well, apparently that changed because like 3 weeks later, they released it on radio. So I think he'd already decided that's what he was going to do, but he didn't tell me. He didn't let me, he just kept saying Those I Loved and reasons why and all that kind of stuff.
I wonder, hold on. I wonder if I have that, if we could play
that. I'm laughing at Lee.
Oh, I'm trying to see. I don't know if I still have it or not.
Y'all just don't even know. Y'all don't know how shy I was before Eric Church came along.
Come on, you were never shy.
Yeah. Look, all of you people, all of y'all came into my life when I was doing this huge transition from married 20-something years to not married, having time on my hands I didn't know what to do with, trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my life, all those cliches, and boom, Eric Church and y'all people fell into my lap. How many years has it been? 15, 13?
Yeah.
Best 13 years.
Oh, well. I thought I had a little snippet of that rap version, but I don't have it. Can't find it. Oh, well. So we got to talk about, I got them pulled up. At least, let me pull up the screen. These jackets. I know you guys created them way back when.
Yeah, we did some of the first really cool Eric Church merch. My sister-in-law. Oh yeah, Carl, I forgot about the House of Blues. He wouldn't sing it because we were there. And then all he would say is, "You're gonna love it." My sister-in-law has a monogram business, and bless her heart, she just, when I asked her to do some things for me, she did. And so we really just did things for ourselves, Carl and I, and for Eric. Um, I think we did do some jackets later on for to donate to charity, like to the Smoke Foundation and that kind of thing. Um, there's a few out there, but not very many. Eric he just loved them, at the time. I'm assuming he still has them, but who knows?
I'm sure he
So
still has.
they were really nice. I mean, Eric wearing a long sleeve denim shirt was not exactly his vibe, but he did it for us.
That is
wasn't,
very.
wasn't exactly it was before Chief, so it wasn't exactly Chief like, but it was a little bit of dorky Eric.
Actually, let's see. Let's do this picture. This goes with that story I was talking about, I think, last week with Andy. Here
Yes.
you are. Let's see.
That was all the same day. We all followed him around CMA Fest.
Yep. That's why I think when the girls were walking by with the Rascal Flat shirts on.
Yes. That was hysterical.
Oh boy.
That was funny.
Before I get into this next one, I love it that all of a sudden all my chat just comes up out of nowhere. Well, here, Lisa, you could talk the ears off of Billy Goat.
Yep.
We're only 22 minutes in, Lee. Come on now, be nice.
Tell Lee Lee, it's time for you to go to bed.
Ooh, past your bedtime, Lee. No, she hung till 9 o'clock with me. So let's see. I might have to. I want to see what I could do with this.
Okay, so what direction are you going? Because
I might have to mute us. So I'm gonna play a video. I'm gonna see how long I can play it.
okay.
Let me see. I'm gonna mute our audio for a minute. We'll be right back, guys. Let's hope this works. All right. So for a lot of you guys that don't know, that video was actually the very first time that Eric Church ever saw money from us. So back in the day, oh, you weren't able to see the video?
Yeah, I couldn't see the video, but that's okay. That's okay. No, I couldn't hear it.
Back in the day, we were pretty much, the early choir was Eric's marketing team, I would say. We would create the flyers and pass them out and the money and everything else. And I think Laurie and Carla were kind of two that were at the forefront of that and kind of really led this. Let me show you guys this. This is one of my favorites that they did. So they made these little fry cards and sent them to radio stations for mustard on your fries, for love your love the most, the money.
We gave them out at CMA Fest one year.
That one was okay. What did you send to the radio stations, though? You guys did something with the radio stations for Love Your Love, I thought.
I don't remember. Locally, I did, but I don't remember doing anything else.
I thought you took them like little packets of mustard or something like that. I forgot what it was. I thought you
No, that wasn't me.
Working with one of them. I'm trying to see what else I got.
Yeah, that picture of the money is the money I printed out and cut for Hickory for our choir reunion. Is that what it was? Mm-hmm. We added that. That was my contribution to the goodie bags. I believe that's what that is.
Let's see. And then this.
One day, one time after a few months, that when I brought that goodie bag, that's the kind of things I would bring to the radio station.
Okay, that's what I
That
was
basket.
thinking.
Yeah,
All
that
right.
was a local radio stations. This one, I think I actually, this may be one I actually gave the DJ that was introducing Eric one of the nights at the Varsity. And he held up the money. He thought it was the coolest thing he'd ever seen, and he held up the money and talked about it. But it wasn't new then.
I don't know what
That
you
was
guys
one of my
are
favorite. That was one of my favorite days. Me and your mom got banished to the van because everything that was going on in the hotel room was a surprise for the reunion, and
yeah.
we were putting kisses, candy kisses, in bags for Sean Blades. She sent that. And I don't know what your mom said, but she cracked me up.
There's like an issue with the van. I don't know if we got lost or if we end up in another state. We went to a liquor store or something in that van right before there and got lost, or
Yeah, it was the
something
ABC
happened.
liquor store.
Yeah.
And it took us a while to find it. Yeah, I remember that. I think I was with you. I was with somebody who did that anyway. But
We were
look, she
cracking
was
up.
cracking me up.
But these are the
This
flyers.
was the Fiddle
These
and
are the
Steel
mean-
show was
That's how we got our meet and greet back in the day. They would. Oh, Lori is gone. We lost her. Let me get her back. There she is. We lost
oh,
you for
I
a second.
know. It kicked me out for some reason.
So back in
Um
the day, these posters were kind of how we got our meet and greets. So we would print them off the website, and we would have to take pictures hanging up all around the town. All right,
yeah.
talk about this show though.
This show wasn't that the first? No, the second fan club party. It was supposed to be a secret show, but everybody knew. And it was at the Fiddle and Steel, and it was late, really late. And the place was packed, and it was so hot. I can remember Catherine saying, I don't know how y'all do this. I'm going back in the bus. It's too hot.
Oh, it was like
And
100
then,
or something. I know we
yeah,
talked
so
to
they
Ruby
only
about
did
that.
like 3 or 4 songs, and then they came back. And Eric was supposed to be in Georgia maybe the next day, and they kept saying, "Come on, we have to go. Come on, we have to go." And he was just outside talking to everybody. And Craig had strep throat. Remember, they used to talk about their bus being a petri dish because they would all get
Yep.
sick. Time one of them got sick, they'd all get sick. Poor Craig, he was like blue from being sick. He had strep throat
It was at that show.
at the Fiddle and Steel show. Yeah,
That was a wild show. That was. I think I
that was.
definitely lost some weight that night.
Remember
Trying-
the girl? We brought money again because we had money for the
It was
CMA
Trevor.
Fest. Remember that girl jumped up on stage with handfuls of money?
It was Trevor's wife. He works for Garth Brooks now.
Oh, really?
Trevor George. Yeah, he was. He was
Yeah, I
actually.
didn't know that was her. Okay,
Yep,
I got pictures of that
he was the Eric
somewhere.
like for a while, and now he is pretty much Garth Brooks's videographer. So he landed
Okay,
a really cool gig. So
that's nice. Yeah.
there, I bet you it was Lee that did it. It was Valentine's Day packages. I bet you that was. I remember somebody doing "Love Your Love" stuff to radio stations.
Okay, Lee was all romance and stuff with Valentine's pack.
Yep, I bet. All right, let's go. You got to do something really, really cool, and I'm gonna see. It'll be another quick little video. Let's see if we can get this to play. Let's hope it works the last one. Let's see if I'm gonna have to mute us again. Okay, we're back. I don't know if it's gonna work like I
Yes,
wanted to.
I'm in like that black spot standing next to the person in the corner. You can't see me at all.
All right, let's see. Let me mute us so we don't get a lot of So a lot of you guys know that music video, but you got really cool. You and some other lucky choir members actually got to go and be a part of this music video. So
Yes.
how'd you get the chance to do this?
I think they sent something out that they just wanted us to send a photo. And this was early, like, this was maybe January because it was right before the Saints won the Super Bowl because we talked about it. Um, and in December, Carl and I had seen them in Memphis or somewheres, and he came off the bus to talk to us. Anyway, I sent that picture in, and like I had a 3-day notice. You know, we want you to be in this video, blah blah blah. You know, it was, and I just whatever. It didn't matter what I had to do. I told them at work, I'm done. I'm going to be in a video, and they all laughed at me. So. But let me say this about this video. Everybody complained about this video. They didn't like it. This video was not done the way it was written.
Mm-hmm.
The producer, whoever, whatever he is, left a lot of it out. It was supposed to tell a complete story, and it didn't. And Eric was very, very disappointed in it.
Yeah.
Very disappointed. I sent him something on MySpace, and he actually messaged me back about it, and he was very disappointed.
One of the few times
it was fun for. What's that?
So one of the few times you find Eric Church on MySpace.
Yeah, it didn't happen often, but he actually messaged me back about it, and he just it obviously didn't. It doesn't make sense to very many people. It's because they left a lot of it out. But it was fun for all of us that got to be there. Melanie, Sean,
Kate was there.
Kayla. Were you there, Aaron? You weren't there?
I was supposed to come down. I didn't come down. Was Steve there? I think Steve was there too.
I didn't know Steve then, but he may have been there. And of course, you know, they put all the young, pretty people up front. I was banished off to the side, so I know where I'm at there, but you can't see me. But there were breaks in between, so I got to talk to them. All of them, they were coming. It must have been their last show they did at the Varsity. They were coming because we talked about that. I asked them what they wanted us to bring them to eat and all that good stuff. Eric said he had just gotten off of. He'd gone to Mexico on a cruise, and he had to let his stomach
I was going to say, either he just got back from vacation or he hit the tanning booth right before that music video because he looks a little tan in that picture.
Yeah. He was on that Mexico cruise right before.
That's probably the one with picture.
I was talking to Catherine, and I wasn't really going to take a picture, and Catherine said, go over there and take a picture. And so we did. Well, my camera was acting up, so they gave her the hardest time that she couldn't work a camera. Todd gave her a hard time. It was actually fun.
So you got to see, let me clear this off. You got to see a really cool show. Yeah, you'll be on YouTube all night long with, oh my God, with early videos. Some good stuff. Patty says Steve was there. See, I thought Steve was there.
Steve was there.
Got to see a really cool tour that I had to miss, but and I think this tour, the reason why I like this, I'll put this picture up in a second. You're gonna know exactly what show it was because it's one of your photos. But I think it's where Eric kind of went from being Eric Church to being EFC in a way that everybody calls him EFC now. But I think this is the tour where he kind of picked up his badass persona in a way. But
yeah.
I love this picture, but it's just like when he toured with Hank Jr., I think opened up so many doors for Eric of just like, this is me. I mean, he always had the this is me, take it or leave it attitude. But I think once he toured with Hank and saw how Hank did things, I think I think Eric took a lot.
He told me that this is the show that I was talking about where he talked to us for a long time afterwards, and we ended up talking about smoke. I believe this is the same show. He told us that Hank told him he was passing the torch to him, that he was the next whatever. I don't remember exactly what he said. And of course, he just grinned from that. He thought that was great. But this picture, when I talked to him about this picture, it's a non-smoking venue. And he said he was coming down the hall and he's lighting the cigarette and there are securities on him and they're taking him away. And he said, my wife, bless her heart, she talked him into it. And I managed to get on stage. And then he still lit the cigar on stage.
See, now I actually have questioned this before because Aaron Lewis used to, I don't know if he does anymore, he would smoke almost a pack of cigarettes on stage in a show. And he would be in these non-smoking venues. And one time, like, someone lit up a cigarette in the crowd, and Aaron saw him light it up and said, "What the hell are you doing? Only I can smoke in here. This is a non-smoking venue." And the guy was like, "Well, you're smoking." He goes, "Stage prop, MFer." And I was like, "Okay, that's how they get away with it. Is they say it's a stage prop."
Stage prop, yeah. Well, he lit it up, and that's a story he told us afterwards. Anyway. He said if it wouldn't have been for his wife, he wouldn't have made. This was like the finale where they all came back out on stage at this tour. And he said if it hadn't been for Catherine, he wouldn't have made it because security was on him and they were dragging him out.
Oh.
He was trying to tell him who he was, and he was supposed to be on stage, and they didn't care. He was gone.
He wasn't sober at this point either.
I don't think so.
Yeah, see, Scott, I thought Aaron still does. I mean, sometimes, I don't know. Aaron smokes cigarettes and he doesn't, then he smokes other things and he does. I don't know. It's always been fun with him. He's a good show, though. He's definitely a good show.
Yeah, I've seen him a couple times. He is good.
Yeah, if you could catch Aaron Lewis by himself, like he was doing a tour once where it was just him and his steel guitar player. And those two together, they would tell stories all night long. And whatever you would call out, Aaron Lewis would pretty much play it. Like somebody said Piano Man, and he's like, you don't see a piano on stage, but he starts playing Piano Man. He played Mean by Taylor Swift. I mean, pretty much anything he would just call out. So it was a really cool show. And I mean, dude could sing anything the way he sings.
He comes around here quite a bit.
All right, let's bring these pictures up. I want to know about this.
Oh man,
show. We got to talk about this. I know Tony was there too, and Tony was
there.
I missed
Lee
it.
got in. Lee was there. This was a Sirius XM show, The Highway, with Stormy Warren. It was the year of the fan club party at the record store, the record pressing thing. There was some issue with tickets and whatever. So those of us that has issue with tickets, they kind of gave us the chance to possibly get into these shows. And luckily I got in. And this was before the release of which album? Creepin', I'm Getting Stoned. Is all that on the same album? I forget. I had the time. Okay, Chief. Okay, so this was the right before the release of that. I told y'all my memory sucks. So he and Jeff Hyde are there, and there was no cameras, no phones, no nothing. So these photos are file photos that I found. And the funny thing about this is they introduced him and there were issues. So he had to walk up this walk like 3 times. And on the 3rd time, he told Stormy, he said, I don't care what your problems are, I'm not walking up there again. And so, and we had to holler and clap and whatever. And of course, he saw those of us that he knew. He'd already seen us sitting there, and he pointed or the things that he does to let us know. And we could ask him a question. And so my question was, well, we had to write them down. My question was, what's going to be my favorite song on the record? I didn't think that was that big a deal, but he called me out about it 2 or 3 times. So it was the last question. And Stormy's reading it, and he said, Laurie from something. It wasn't, and then he said, no, from Louisiana. And Eric says, I know Laurie, and her name is spelled Laurie. And the favorite thing she cooks for me is, I don't remember what he said, jambalaya, I guess. And the crowd's all, it's like silence 1 second and then laughing the next second. And Stormy's like, well, hey, Laurie, now we all know you and what you going to cook for us and something similar to that. Anyway, so Stormy asked the question and Eric got kind of a little upset because he said I put him on the spot. And I'm like, well, you told me Smoke was going to be my favorite from the other one. He said, well, is it? I said, yes. And so then he said, well, there's a swampy, dark, toothless Cajun kind of song called Creepin'. You might like that. And I just pointed at him and shook my finger at him. And he started laughing. And then he talked about I'm getting stoned. And he kind of talked, but that was the most he talked about the songs. He didn't, he and Jeff Hyde were there. And I think they played a little bit of the songs. Lee and Tony Mike can come in on that and talk about that. So then and I ended up getting into the fan club party because somebody that couldn't go gave me their ticket. So I was there. And again, he said, I can't believe you put me on the spot like that. And I'm like, it's not that big a deal. I just wanted to know something about the songs. He said, I still can't believe you put me on the spot like that.
Oh,
and he didn't say it with a smile on his face either. But it was a really cool thing. It was 100 people there. And other people asked questions, and so it was a Q&A, and he talked about the record some and that kind of thing. I think there was 2 or 3 that he gave us a little sneak peek.
One of the coolest things though is I know he talked about These Boots story. And that's one of the coolest. Like I remember that he's talking about the guy in Memphis and da da da. Yeah. I'm like, that's me.
He used to say that. Yeah, he used to say that all the time. Well, this one guy in Memphis is standing there holding up a boot, and that's how all this started. Yeah, I remember him saying that. He used to say that all the time.
Memphis. It was Rick's Cafe in Starkville. I was there at a show.
Oh, was it?
I held up the boot, and then the next night he played Memphis, and he played God, where was it? Can't think of the name of the place now. It's still the Minglewood Hall. What it was called. It's called Minglewood. And Rolling Stone was supposed to be there doing a photo shoot. And Carla and I sent over these things to Kinko's that says, for a photo op, hold up your boot. And because I held it up the night before during these boots, and he got a kick out of it. And then we held up for the photo op, we held this up for Minglewood. And actually the photo ended up on a Polestar magazine. I got it. It's back here somewhere. But the photo ended up on a Polestar magazine, and it was from Memphis. It was pretty cool. It was never a boot photo, but hey, that's what started the whole boot thing.
And look what it is today.
Oh my God, it's crazy with everything. That's why everything with the flags, and it's awesome the way
I know. He has so much fun.
Yeah. All right, I don't know if I'm gonna kick myself in the foot, but give me like 3 seconds. I gotta refresh this. My photos are not loading again.
Okay.
All right. You still there?
Yeah.
All right. Let's hope that fixed it.
Okay. So I don't know what direction you're fixing to go in, but I have a really cool ACM story.
That's what I heard. I'm trying to see if I don't know if I have any pictures of it.
I think the only thing that was Joe's. Joe's is one of my favorite places.
Let's talk about this real quick. I got some, I can load them up, and then we're going to go to your ACM story. But I want to get these pictures. Hold on, let me load these up now.
Joe's, the Grizzly Rose, of course, the varsity shows, all those little bar. Those were all my favorite.
So we slightly touched on this with Andy last week, but we got to talk about this Joe's show for a minute. You came up. I like this. I pulled this picture.
That was the 2 nights in a row.
Yep.
He was there the Friday and Saturday night with Jonathan Singleton in the Grove.
But this picture of me, you, and Amanda outside Joe's, I pulled it. Well, actually, you sent it to me.
That was like 4:00 in the afternoon, and the show didn't start till 11.
I got a kick out of it, though, because there's seldom very pictures of me smoking. And I'm actually smoking in that picture.
Yep, you are.
And I haven't smoked, and it's actually just hit on my phone that I haven't smoked in a year and 6 months. So I'm like, that's cool. A rare photo. I'm like, so I got
that was a great. That was a great weekend. I got like
Mm.
4 hours of sleep from Friday morning till I got in the seat of the plane Sunday morning, and I don't even remember the plane taking off. I was sleeping.
I think that was right after I moved back from Mississippi because that had to be 2009. Because the hat I'm wearing is
Yeah,
a club hat from 2008.
yeah. Well, yeah, and then he couldn't sit still. He had the
Okay,
boot on. Yeah, he had the boot on, and he just couldn't sit still. And look, there was this girl, one of the shows when there was this girl behind me, and we had met in Nashville. She was a blonde, young, and, of course, she had been drinking, but her thing was if I could just get close enough to him, he'd marry me, kind of thing. That's the kind of thing she was saying. And I'm rolling my eyes. And so he's walking off the stage and he blows me a kiss. And the girl's knees buckled. I had to catch her. She's like, "Did he really blow you a kiss?" I'm like, "What's the big deal? It's just Eric, And she's like, her knees buckled. I had to catch her before she hit the floor.
that is hilarious. Yeah, this is awesome. I mean, he had this little swivel chair. He just could not sit
Yeah.
still ever. He would hop up. He looked like dude from Karate Kid, like going in for the
He would
kick.
move that stool all over the place, and then he'd get up and just hop on one foot.
Oh God, that was always fun. All right, well, I load up some more. Let's hear this ACM story you want to tell. Is this piggyback
Okay, so
last week?
what's that?
Is this the piggyback off of Andy's story last week?
Yeah, and actually it is, and I think Andy and maybe one or two other people actually know this story. I don't think very many people know about it, but for their 50th anniversary, they were in the ACMs was in Dallas, and they're normally in Las Vegas, and they do a party for a cause, which the proceeds go to military charities and things like that. So this one, since it was the anniversary, they were doing ABC was recording, and it was duets. And our credentials got us. They were filming it in the is it the Rangers plays in the baseball stadium there?
Yep.
Well,
Arlington.
that's where they were. Yeah, that's where they were filming it.
Okay.
And so that was the big ticket item that that everybody, bought tickets for, where the proceeds were coming from and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
So our credentials actually got us into these shows if we weren't working anymore, but they also got us into the rehearsals of different things. Or, if we were in the area, we could stop for a few minutes and listen. Well, I heard, I went and watched a couple of people for a few minutes, but I heard something made me know it was Eric and them was up there. And he was duetting with Marty Stewart. And I can't for the life of me tell you what the song was, but it was one of Marty's songs. So I tell the girl I was working with that I needed a few minutes. So I go through, and I'm standing at the top of the stadium. And so I asked the guy that's standing there, and he's a volunteer like us. He's 6'4" with a cowboy hat on. I'm thinking, okay, he's either going to throw me down the stairs or I'm going to get to go. So I said, "Can I go all the way down there?" He's like, "I don't care." So I go all the way down to the first seat, and I'm like, I wonder if I can go on. I wonder if I can go on the field. And there's a million things going through my head. All my insecurities are popping up. Like, you're gonna get yourself in trouble. So I get to this guy and I said, "Well, you think I could go out there?" He said, "I don't care. They're probably gonna tell you. They'll tell you if they don't want you there." And I'm thinking ACM people are gonna tell me. Well, I'm getting there. I'm walking. Now this is how it happened. Like 2 minutes, but all this stuff is going through my head, and then all of a sudden I'm like, "Oh, hell, it's going to be Todd and Marshall that are going to tell me I can't be there. Please, Jesus, don't let me cry. Please don't let me cry if they make me go back." So anyway, I'm on the field. They're working on rehearsing. And I hear somebody say, "Hey, Laurie, what you doing here?" And it was Todd and Marshall standing next to him. So I'm thinking, okay, so far so good. Well, so anyway, I talked to them, told them what I was doing, asked them all about the song and the performance. They told me how excited Eric was to be doing that with Marty, just different things like that. And at this time, the music hadn't actually started. It was more like they were setting things up. So Catherine passes by and she didn't see me. And, you got to be respectful.
Yeah.
She's got things to do. So I didn't say anything. Todd Marshall had to leave. I go closer and in a better place to see the stage. So I'm sort of close to Catherine, but I still never said anything. Eric and them are rehearsing, and all of a sudden I hear, "Hey, Laurie, what are you doing here?" Well, it was Catherine. So we talked. So for the rest of the rehearsal, I'm standing next to Catherine, watching Eric and
Mhm.
Marty Stewart rehearse for this show that they're going to be filming that night. Well, that was in the morning. That afternoon, a storm came through that was
Mhm.
torrential rains, horrible. Like we were in the basement because they thought tornadoes were coming through.
Oh,
So everything got pushed aside. Everything was late, but a lot of people's equipment got damaged. Well, Eric and Marty Stewart were one of them, and they decided not to stay. So they were not even on the show. So fast forward to the fan club party, and I asked him if he knew I was there. And he said no. And I said, well, I was standing right next to Catherine, and I was, whatever. And he said, so you're literally the only person that got to see that performance. And I said, well, yeah, I guess so. So he never, and so I did say, well, so did y'all really lose your equipment? And he said, well, yeah, you saw the rain. And then he kind of mumbled and he said, but something about ABC, and it wasn't really about the fans anyway, and we just didn't stay or something like
yeah.
that. So that was it was really cool to see that performance, to see that and see them
That's
having
cool.
fun. They were having fun up there, and it's just a shame it didn't get filmed because it would have really been good.
Oh yeah, especially him and Marty Stewart together would have been awesome. I know they did.
Yeah, like
Was it the Midnight Jam? They did a little bit after that.
yeah, yeah,
Or maybe even
yeah.
before that, they did the Midnight Jam together.
Yeah, but Andy and I have had some really fun times at the ACMs. We've gotten to do quite a few things.
Oh, it sounds like it. I mean, definitely a little rule book breaker he's
It's
talking.
yeah, it's hard work. Yeah, man, I was panicking too. I'm like, please, Jesus, don't let me cry if they make me go back. At least not till I turn around and I start walking back to the stadium, to the seats.
I'm trying to flip
So
through
yeah,
some pictures that
that was
I've been finding today. So if you guys see a lot of pictures flipping through, that's because I
yeah,
felt
that was Red Rock.
I fell down a rabbit hole today. So normally, like I've talked about before on the show, I like to kind of scope out people's Facebooks or just looking for old photos or just different photos. And today I started digging with Laurie. First off, I mean, she has tons of pictures on her Facebook page, but I mean, her pictures led to my pictures where I started digging into a lot of my stuff that I haven't looked at for years. And I just felt I didn't get nothing done today other than pretty much just research for tonight's show. And then I just threw it all out the window. I was like, let's just talk and have a good time. And I mean, I had a nice little checklist of stuff.
We had some fun times. We had some pretty good. This was New York City. This was when this was the Young and Wild tour. Um, this was um, we all had meet and greets. My
Mm.
daughter, who probably took the picture, that's why she's not there. Myself, Kayla, Rachel, and her mom, we all had meet and greets. And so we go in the back, and we're in like the area where they're bringing the food out. Like it's not anything glamorous, let me tell you. We're like in this hallway, and we having to dodge the waiters and the other people. And I had brought him some things. I always bring him something. And he's coming down the hall, and he's, I don't know, 500 feet from us or whatever. And I said, y'all start hollering. Ooh, we're in church. Ooh, we're in church. And he's like laughing and putting his head down and shaking his head. And, so we just had a fun time with it. It was just, there wasn't a lot of people. We all got a little bit of time, got a chance to talk to him. And, those were the fun times.
Oh, yeah.
This horrible picture is me and my daughter were there on our birthday. This is actually outside the Fiddle and Steel.
Okay.
For that show.
I was gonna say that was that
And
night, wasn't it?
yeah, that was that same. That was that that was like 2:00 in the morning, I believe. My daughter and I were born on the same day, and that day was actually our birthday. Well, it had already moved into the next day, but so we had tags on that said, "It's my mom's birthday, it's my daughter's birthday." So he and Catherine saw these things, and they're like, and Catherine's like, I can't. Really? I can't believe she was born on your birthday. And she said it 2 or 3 times, and she asked Melissa a couple of things. You'd have to know my daughter. She don't like, she's not me. She don't like to talk.
Yeah.
And so she's kind of like drawn into her shell and whatever. And then Eric says something, and finally he looks at me and he says, "How'd you do that?" And I said, "Catherine, if I have to answer this question, you're in trouble." He just started laughing. Because of course that's not what he meant,
Yeah.
But
That's
so yeah, more
funny.
fun times.
So you got to tell real quick the story of down here, all of us standing here. We all have envelopes in our hands in this photo. Why do we have those envelopes?
Several years ago, there was Eric had an employee, is Nick Barnes, and this was the first pop-up store, and it was merchandise that was sold, and the proceeds went to Chief Cares. And it was a lot of one-of-a-kind items. And John Peets, for those of you who might not know, took, and maybe still does, take a lot of Eric's promo pictures. And so a lot of those were framed, beautiful pictures. A lot of them were framed and up for sale. And there was 2 or 3, this was after Chief, and there were 2 or 3 that I had never seen. And I pointed to one I had brought, that year I had brought a bunch of Louisiana food for people that I knew was going to be in Nashville, and Nick was one of them. So I had gone really early. There was really nobody else there to drop him off this food so he would be able to keep it on ice. And we were looking around and talking, and John Peets was actually there, I believe.
Yep.
And I pointed to that particular picture and I said, "This picture, this is our Eric," meaning those of us that were around way back when. This is, I don't know, I don't see him as Chief. I will never refer to him as Chief.
Agreed.
This particular picture was our Eric. The people who knew him from Chief when things started blowing up will never know that side of Eric. They're 2 different people, really. It's Chief is a persona, Eric is Eric. A lot of people don't see Eric.
UFC too. Like I said, you could kind of see like the transformation. Back in the day, I know you remember this shirt. It was a fan that drew this shirt, and it was his album covers per haircut. So it was a different the shirt. It was awesome.
Right.
It was kind of like that was her persona too, in a way. It's like he went from EC to Chief to EFC. I mean, so
right. And I've always appreciated the fact that we really got that part of him. I feel like that was special. Like, it helped us come together as a group of friends. It helped us, kind of get to know a little bit more about him and those kinds of things. So anyway, Nick messaged me and said, he had, he was a group of us that would go every year. There was about 15 of us, and we would go every year, tailgate. Andy talked about this. We would tailgate and whatever. So he wanted to know which ones of us, how many of us were there. And he wanted us to take this group picture. So he asked us all to be there at a certain time. When we got there, he told us that something had happened and it was my fault, but I didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, oh, holy shit, what did I do now? He gave us all that picture. I asked John Peets permission, and John said it was okay for us to get a copy of that photo that I had pointed to and said, "This is our Eric."
Yeah.
And so those 15 of us are the only ones that have that, except for the person who bought the original.
See, mine's over here on the wall somewhere.
I have it somewhere. So let me see. I don't know if I can maneuver over there to.
I don't have
Let's
a
see.
clear image of it, or else I'd put it up there.
I have it, but I don't know if I can. Let's see if anybody can see it. Where is it? There it
There it
is.
is. It's actually a wall in Nashville. I don't know if the wall's still there, but that's a cool photo. So you got to talk about real quick. I know we're going to run out over time. If everybody's cool that's in chat, we're going to run over a couple minutes. So maybe like 10 minutes or so, but we'll see. In this photo, we got Deb, of course. I mean, we all love Deb, but we got to talk about the other two. So back in the day, we'll talk about them. No one probably knows or remember. I mean, I know we remember Lauren and Corey, but the Mustang girls. These were
the Mustang girls.
two amazing. I mean, they were underage, just driving around in a Mustang, going to all these shows, and probably the two
Occasionally,
of the
one of them's mom would actually drive them, I think.
Yeah, probably two of the nicest people ever going around. We had so much fun.
Fun. Well, a lot of fun. Corey is still around. Corey is still around. I still see her. I got to see her in Omaha this year.
Yep, I ran into her in Omaha. So you got a request.
Okay, so let's repeat the porn story from the varsity. So again, people would have to know me and know that, I had this life-changing thing and just not real confident in myself and all these kinds of things. So all of this stuff, being around a lot of people that were strangers, all of that stuff was new to me. I had never, I was married at a young age, so I didn't really go to bars or anything. I didn't have anything against it. I just had kids and couldn't go. So even going to the bars was different for me. So Jason, Carla, somebody talked me into, I had this big bag because I brought money and whatever to the show. And so they talked me into going outside and smuggling beer in. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to do this. But if y'all jackasses get me kicked out of the show, I am not going to be happy. So, but in the meantime, Jason wanted to get cigars. So we're walking down the street and it's at LSU campus, and we find this store and we go in and there's a couple different things, but we go to this next room. And it's all these toys and all these whatever. There's all sorts of things you could have done with them. And Jason is cracking up. It was funny. It wasn't, I wasn't upset about it. It was funny, but the funniest thing is just for me to tell. Jason and his wife came to visit us. My family and I were in Florida, and I called them, and they came to visit us. And I told my mom, I said, "Mama, this is Jason, and he's the only man that ever took me to a porn store."
Oh my God.
And she just thought that was the funniest thing. So when we left there, Jason had his cigars. We left there. We go to the parking lot. We put as much beer as we could in this big red bag. And I am almost to the point, like you see on TV, sweating because I'm so worried about getting caught and Jason's laughing at me the whole entire time. And so we just show, you have to show your IDs at these places whenever you go in. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter. They have to see your ID. So fun fact, all of my varsity tickets have always been in my credit card case in my purse from the day that I got them. I have never taken them out. Just no particular reason. I just shoved them in there when I had to show them my ID.
Yeah.
But so anyway, we got there, and then it was all fine. Nobody got caught. We were good. Corey and Lauren came. You still there?
I'm here.
Okay. I had a pop up.
Oh.
Corey and Lauren came, and remember Corey had the shirt that said "Barely Legal," and Lee draped it over Craig's drum set.
I saw Tiff post that in the thing, so I'm like, I gotta throw that up there real quick. I have that picture somewhere. I don't know where it is, but
fun times. It was crazy time. It was, it was great for me that I was accepted, being that I was so much older than everybody else.
Mhm.
So, and everybody was really young and a lot younger than me. And I always thought that was a cool thing, that I never felt left out or anything. And sometimes I could hang really good, and sometimes I couldn't.
All right, before
sometimes
we continue,
sometimes people like Jessica would get me drunk.
all right, before we continue, I got two more stories or two more things that I wanted to bring up real quick. As whatever you want to, but I have a little thing every week I do called the hot seat, where I ask 10 questions. I only got 8 on today for you, so we'll see how fast you get through them. I'm gonna throw 60 seconds up with a little song. I'm gonna ask you some quick questions. Some of them might have a picture or two. We'll see. Your favorite Eric Church opener?
I would have to say Jonathan Singleton in the Grove.
I'd probably have to agree with that.
That
If
was
you're on an island, you're only taking one Eric Church album. What album are you taking?
I know everybody is saying this, but I'd have to say Sinners, based on the Nissan Stadium show. Sinners came alive for me again.
Yep. One song you want to hear him cover that he has never covered before?
I thought about this all week long, and the only thing I could come up with was When a Man Loves a Woman.
That would be really cool. That would be really cool. All right. Ooh, my music ran out. All right. The next two are multiple choice, but you got to pick one or the other. Joe's or the Varsity? If you could see Eric play a venue again, would you rather him play Joe's or the Varsity?
It would have to be the Varsity.
Hell yeah.
Because it's hometown, but those are two really, really good venues.
All right. If you had to pick another to come back, Miles or Saban?
Oh, Miles in a heartbeat.
You got to pick one.
Miles.
I know your LSU pride. So, all right. Who do you think the busboy was?
Saban can stay exactly where he is. I was told, who told me? Lee told me the busboy was one of Craig's friends in that band that Craig has or used to have.
Boogaloo.
But I don't remember his name. So that's what I go with, because that's what I'm told.
Fugitive Glue, wasn't it? Or they called it Foo Glue or something like that.
Yeah, something like that. That was fun times with that guy. He must have thought we were all crazy.
All right. According to this photo I'm going to put up, what was this stage prop's name?
Ooh, what was his name? No, Scully?
No, come on. It was Bubba.
Remember. Bubba. Okay, I didn't remember that.
That was the only stage prop that Eric Church had for around, what, 4 years, 5 years?
Yeah, Craig used to put burning incense sticking up out of his head.
Yep.
Remember that?
All right, let's see. I was going to ask, who looks better in a pink, hold on, where is it? I like your drinking picture, so we'll leave that up for a second.
That was your good stuff, dude.
I still got it sitting over here at the bar. Same bottle. Who looks better in a pink?
I love this.
I'm
gonna have to say Marshall is absolutely the cutest thing in that pink tutu.
So what's going on in this photo? What are they doing?
This is their charity event that they do. And I found that as a file photo from something. I don't know where I found it at. And it was one of the earlier ones that they did. And the theme, whatever the theme was, the pink tutus went with it.
Yeah, it's every year. Well, I know they used to do a toy drive, but now I know they do the ECB golf outing every year.
Yeah.
It's more of a band. Yeah. The band puts it on.
The band puts it on. They did a toy drive one year. The crew did. And I happened to be in Nashville that week when they were collecting. So I collected some money from different people and I went shopping and dropped stuff off. And then they never did it again.
All right, let's see if I could pull this one off. So it's probably going to have a little bit of echo for everybody that's listening. But let's see. My last question I was going to ask you was who sings this song? But when I put it on the screen, you're gonna know who it was because you're gonna see.
I hope so.
William Jack Daniel, William Jack Daniel, in memory to.
Come on, you know who sings that song?
Oh, is that Todd?
Yes, it is.
The local guy that sings that, Todd.
O'Neill. So when I first started going to Baton Rouge, I think it was you or Carla, one of you guys, I think it was you, turned me on to this guy. And this album, his first album was called Real Life, was just phenomenal. But the Hank Williams, Jack Daniels, Members of You song, I've always loved that because whoever he used to, I don't know if he opened for EC, but he used to open up for different national acts at the Varsity, right?
Yes, at the Varsity and at the Texas Club. And then there was he opened for Chris Young at I guess about an hour away from here. There was a cowboy bar. He opened up for him one night. Yeah, he's really good, and he won some things in Nashville and stuff, but didn't make it too much. But that song, I love that song.
Oh yeah, that's one of my favorites. Yeah, it's definitely good. So the story with this bottle is it wasn't the awards show. It was
a CMA fest. We were all outside tailgating.
So when did I get this bottle? So Eric's gave me 2 or 3 full Jack bottles in the past. One was after the All for the Hall event with Willie and Keith and all those guys. And the other one was probably, it was CMA Fest. So we all were passing it around. All right. These are the photos I want to throw up. I want you to talk about this quick little impromptu event.
I look like death warmed over.
I wish I was there for this. I wasn't, but you got to talk about this because a lot of people do not know that other than Eric, there is also other talent in the band.
Right. This was Jeff Hyde's CD release party. It was held at a really cool hotel called the Analog, and the ECB backed him. So it was Jeff singing and the ECB behind him, and several of us, as you can see, got a chance to go. I being naive, I guess, I don't know. I really didn't think Eric would be there because I knew he'd have a part in it and he'd do whatever and he'd be there to support Jeff, but I knew he wouldn't be there in a way that it would take away from Jeff.
Yeah.
Him being there. Come to find out, he was upstairs. The upstairs area was pitch black dark. You couldn't see anything. And he happened to be up there. And Marshall came around and said, I was standing next to Tony, and he said, how many of y'all were here? And Tony must have answered him because I didn't say too much. And then I walked away, and I met Jeff's mom and some of their family at the time. And I walked back to Tony and said, so what did Marshall want? What was that all about? He said, Eric's here. He wants us to go talk to him. So we all got to go upstairs and hang out with him and talk to him. And of course, I monopolized his time, and Janet called me out, and we still laugh about that. But he was just wanting to hang out. He just wanted to hang out and talk. He actually, from my understanding, he sent Marshall down there and said, yeah, I want to talk to everybody, and bring them up. And my friend standing next to me in the pinkish shirt, I said, come on, let's go. If you can't go up there, they're going to tag you. And she just was beside herself getting to meet Eric Church. So that was really cool. That was one of the coolest, I would say, meet and greets. And it was after the Las Vegas thing. It was months after the Las Vegas. Well, this was in April. And so I got to, ask him how he was doing, and we talked a little bit. He basically just said he was okay. He was handling. This was before Desperate Man.
Yep.
And I asked him, I said, okay, what's going on? We just heard that different radio stations were saying, "Stay tuned," because a new Eric Church song was going to be released.
Yep.
And we were all waiting, and then nothing ever happened. And so my radio station said this, blah blah. I said, "Okay, what's going on?" The radio stations are saying you got new music. They're not releasing it, blah blah. And he just kind of laughed and he said, I'm in studio now. I'm searching.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it. And he put his hand on his heart and did, and said, I'm feeling it and I'm searching. I'm not sure where to go. And I said, so what are you thinking? What are you leaning towards? And he said, I'm leaning towards a little bit of soul. And my eyes got big. And he said, oh, it's going to be good. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's going to be good. And he like, so what's that?
Is that a little soul, a little funk, I like that.
And so I really wasn't sure what he was talking about, but remember he came out with when he wrote after Desperate Man, he was saying how he was in studio for the first time and he really didn't have anything. He didn't know where to go. He was, I guess that's what he meant by searching. I'm searching. I don't know, and I put those two together, but who knows?
We're already way over, but whatever. Where does he go next? Where does the next album go? I mean, you and I have been watching Eric for what, 13 years now? We're going on to our 14th year. Where does he go? Because what is it, next 2020? So what? He's probably due 2021 for a new album.
I'm thinking in between that, he's going to do something with this tour. He'll do live with this tour.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
I
don't think we'll get 16 days. I don't think we're going to get, because I don't know. I think he's going to just go.
I know it's been done. But I know that it's marketable.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So
I mean, what is it marketable? He throws a different color on something. Marketable.
Right. I don't know. I would love to see the smaller venues that he used to go to, acoustic sets. As much as I love ECB, I mean, I'd love to see a full
It'd be too hard,
show. But I mean, yeah.
The next album with his popularity. I mean, the next album is putting him in stadiums. We don't want it, but we all know it can happen. I mean, next album is putting him in stadiums.
Yeah, that's the next place. I mean, we saw it at Nissan Stadium. Let me tell you,
they tested Nissan. Nissan was a test.
Yeah, I did. I followed you. I went with you and said, we went up to the top. We went up to I've never heard him sing with so much passion and so much love.
I had to see that show from up top. I had to. The first show.
And I hadn't thought about that until you said it, but I was glad that I did. When he sang Sinners, whoever was sitting next to me, Caroline, Tara, one or both of them, I said, how in the hell did the industry not know that this man was going to be a success simply from hearing that song?
Yep.
And that's what it did for me, that the way he sang it and the way he performed it. And I mean, Wrecking Ball was, and I can't repeat what I said about that one, but Wrecking Ball was another one that just made you stop and listen and realize the differences from 10 years ago and the way he sounds now and the things that he does and how much fun he has. And I think bringing Joanna Cotton on was brilliant. I think she challenges him.
Oh yeah. Every single night. Because Eric's the type of guy that if Eric gets bored, I'm scared to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
If Eric gets bored of what he's doing right now, I think he's going to be gone for a while. Yeah, Jan, I wish I could have got that banner in there. I just didn't want to test it. I wanted to get in there.
That would have really been cool. That would have really been cool. So these two pictures that you have up, this was I had gone to Washington State. What's that?
This is the last story I want you to tell before we're 20 minutes over.
Remember they used to go on that 6-week what we called the 6-week East Coast tour, and really none of us ever got to go. Well, I happened to go to be able to go to this one. I had a friend that was living near Seattle, and we actually went. I flew into Seattle. Her house was an hour away, and then we drove like 2.5 to 3 hours to actually get to this. And this was a little tiny fair. It was in a town called Grays Harbor, and so I show up. I drug probably 20 pounds of pralines through LAX because they were so damn heavy I couldn't pick them up.
You wouldn't be able
That
to
was
do
my
it.
carry-on.
They think they're
What's that?
You wouldn't be able to do it today. They'd be like, those are edibles.
No.
Put them out.
Yeah. And so I get there, and Marshall has his back to me. He's bent over doing something. He's in the trailer. They still had the bus in the trailer, and Marshall was still basically was still the merch guy. And I said, "Hey, Marshall," and he turns around and he says, "Hey," and he says, "Hey, what are you doing here?" And so I handed over to him. He said, "This is for Eric." I said, "Well, it's enough for everybody, so it's for all of y'all." And so he just has a white table that he had a little bit of merch and stuff on. So we standing there. I'm standing a little ways talking to people, and he points, and I point to myself like you see on TV. People point to themselves. Me, you talking to me? And so I go over there, and he says, "How many of y'all here from Louisiana?" And I said, "Well, it's just me, and I got a couple of friends." He said, "Well, Eric wants you to hang out after the show." And I'm thinking, dude, I was hanging out after the show. I came all the way to Seattle. But anyway, so at the time, so then a little bit before that, the buses, see this orange stuff? That's what they had to keep the fans away from the bus. And they were parked out in this big field. So Eric and Todd are walking to the side of the bus, and I'm waving, and Todd waves and smiles, but Eric's not smiling. He's like he's looking, but he's not smiling. He said something to Todd. Todd started laughing. I took my sunglasses off, and I'm waving again. And then I was back to, oh my God, he didn't remember who I am. I came all this way. I'm going to cry. And then all of a sudden he smiles and he waves and he blows a kiss. And anyway, so we wait on Marshall, and he brought us back, and there's a little bit longer story and whatever to that. But they were heading to Utah, and that was when their bus broke down. Remember that? The bus broke down, and they were sitting on the side of the road for like 16 hours, and they had to cancel that show. And they made it to the Grizzly Rose, but they made it late. Yeah. Because of the broken down bus and that kind of, so that was that show, the show right before that. And, again, it was just, we just hung out and laughed and talked. And he kept saying, "I can't believe you here. The guys can't believe you here. What are you doing here? I can't believe you here." We talked about the hat. He said Catherine had just bought the hat, and then he shows me his jeans. He turns around, he shows me the back of his jeans, and he said, "She bought these too. You like them?" I'm like, "Yeah, they cool." Just that kind of stuff. That's conversations. That's the kind of conversations we had.
Oh, it was definitely a good time back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. Priceless memories.
Oh yeah, I mean that's another reason why I kind of started this whole show, because we have so many memories that we like to share with everybody, and it's kind of hard to share them all. And I know, the way it is now, people sometimes don't think you're sharing stories; they might think you're bragging, and we're not bragging about these stories. I mean,
not at all.
We never will. We don't try to brag about this stuff. This is stuff that we want to share to people that might have came on in the Chief era, and they wanted to know what it was like. I mean, I have so many favorite artists. I mean, I love, and it was really cool, because I didn't not know this. And this is a Chris Johnson story real quick. But my wife is a huge Matchbox 20 fan, and I knew they were from Orlando, but Chris is like, "Oh yeah, Tabitha's Secret, da 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 da," and I didn't know that. And I went back and looked them up, and I didn't know who Tabitha's Secret was, and I started listening to all that music, and I loved it. And it's the same thing where if you come on, I mean, I didn't come on to Matchbox till way later, but it was cool to hear their older stuff that somebody that grew up or came from Orlando, Florida could recommend. And it was cool that we could share these stories the same way and tell them kind of how he was coming up. So
yeah, and it's and I think it's hard for people to believe because he's such a superstar now. That those times actually existed. But I mean, everybody has early careers where they're a little bit more, they relate a little more and they're more available. And we just happened to be there. We got lucky and happened to be there.
It was. I think it was luck.
And let me say this: those little roses he's holding in his hand, I did not give him those.
That's what I heard.
Just so y'all know, I did not give Eric Church roses. This was my daddy's happy place. He was so happy to take y'all to this swamp.
I didn't have time to pull up enough pictures, so we're going to definitely have to continue this. I kept saying I'm going to do 50.
Okay.
I'm going to do this. We're going to have to do a part 2 because we're already 25 minutes over, and I really wanted to share this story. It was after the Baton Rouge varsity show. We did a big reunion, and Laurie and her family took us to the swamp, and I got a really cool picture of Jillian like turn around showing the size of an alligator that she saw. But it was like the first time we saw alligators. It was the first time we got to go to New Orleans. And I got to go to Bourbon Street, and
we were singing Eric Church songs in the trolley going down Canal Street.
I'm gonna have RJ on, and I have a video. And RJ, I don't know if he's watching right now, but I already talked to him. RJ's coming on next year. And the funniest thing that happened that weekend was we were singing karaoke, very drunken karaoke in a bar on Bourbon Street. And RJ and I are on stage singing Two Pink Lines. And just then a pregnant lady walks by and Jillian's filming it. So I don't know if it was a camera, a phone, whatever she was using to film. This pregnant lady stops halfway in front of the stage, turns and looks at RJ and I, and just shakes her head and walks off as we're singing. All on video. The funniest thing. We sing like terrible whatever. I'll share it down the road. But it's been fun, Laurie. I knew
it was fun.
So
memory lane fun. Thanks a lot.
Did it feel like 90 minutes?
Didn't even seems like we just started.
I know. All right. Well, you take care. I'm sure I'll see you next year.
Okay.
I'll see you soon. I promise.
Yes, definitely.
All right. Have a good night.
All right. Good night, y'all.
Guys, that was amazing. I could sit here probably for, I don't know, well, other than my computer slowing up, but whatever. I could probably sit here for at least another hour talking to Laurie. I have enough photos I could probably share and bring back memories and all the other fun stuff that we did and had. And Johnson, yeah. Bourbon Street was a wild one, but maybe one of these days we'll have another one. We'll see. There we go. I don't know why my computer is so slow tonight. Oh, we'll hit this. All right, guys. We had fun tonight. Next week, join me for a really good show. I don't know if you guys can see it on the screen.
The Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron
Rich
Schreiber
Cassidy next week. Don't miss that one. Thank you for joining me.
Join Aaron again next week as he shares inside stories and life adventures with another amazing member of the church choir. And remember, everything you need to know about the world can be learned in the church choir. Thanks for joining in on the fun, and we'll catch you next time on the Gainin Fast on Memphis podcast with Aaron Schreiber.